Okay, so I finished watching the next three seasons of Smallville. This is seasons 4 through 6. And now I'm gonna share my thoughts about them. Interesting. I don't know where to start. Um, but why not? Let's just start where we left off. So when we last left off in season 3 with the finale, everyone had essentially died. Uh, Chloe was blown up. Lex was poisoned. Jonathan passed out. Lana left. And then Lionel, he went to prison. And then Clark, he went somewhere to be with Jarrell or something. And then we go on to season 4, and I gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed with the outcome. Of course, Jonathan, he didn't die. He went to a coma, of course. Lex, he didn't die. He survived being poisoned, but he had to take something every 72 hours to not die. And the strange thing about that is that only lasted one episode, and they never brought it up again. It's like they completely forgot about that storyline. Maybe he did get healed by something, but honestly, if it did, they did a poor job at setting that up because I don't know, I completely forgot about that. If they did heal him. Chloe got blown up, but she didn't. She actually escaped in a little hatch inside the house because they knew it was going to blow up. Which, to me, honestly, was bullcrap because if you watch the episode, season 3 finale, there was no time for her to escape like that, the way they showed in the episode. Because you can see her silhouette be consumed in flames in the season 3 finale. Here, she goes into a safe house and a shelter, and then it blows up. Things don't add up there. Lionel's still in prison. Clark comes back. He has no memory. But what this show does is introduces Lois Lane, and you know what? This is a good Lois Lane. Just within the first 10 minutes, I really liked this actress, Erica Durant's performance of Lois Lane. She's in like the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's probably one of the best Lois Lanes I've ever seen in live action. I mean, she's got the mixture of the Lois from the Superman the Animated Series with the Lois with Margot Kidder. She's got that awkwardness mixed with her strengths of being nosy and always getting into trouble. And she's a great fit with the show. Like every time she and Clark are on screen together, I just can't help but smile because they've got great chemistry. They're funny, and I'm also glad that the show doesn't start them out as being a couple or in love with each other. They start them out as friends, and I'm glad that so far it's a natural progression of them eventually getting together. I can't wait till we actually get to that point, but for now it's cool, it's funny, it's interesting to see where this all goes. I also said in the last video that I did not want Lana Lang to return because where she left off in season 3 was a good place. You should have seen my reaction when in the very first episode of season 4, very early on, when they start showing us Lana, I'm like, no, no. And of course, they started out in Paris, but I know that they're not going to be in Paris the entire season. And she comes back to Smallville, and she's dating some other guy. And it's like, honestly, in these past 3 seasons, Lana Lang feels like she doesn't belong in this show. She really feels like that she overstayed her welcome. which is evident in season 4 where they make her a center point in this season where she apparently is a descendant from witches and has witch powers, and she's important. And it's so disappointing. It's also, throughout these past 3 seasons, I started to look at this show with a different light. I, I, I started to look at this show through a production standpoint. And I realized something. Lana Lang is not in this show because the writers think that there is an important story to tell with her. Lana Lang is in the show because the actress is still wanting to be a part of the show and has a contract signed to be a part of the show. And that got me thinking, what if everything in the season 3 finale had nothing to do with telling an interesting story, but had everything to do with all of these actors, their contract had expired? And I say this because normally with television shows, when you're hired to do a television show, they contract you for 3 seasons, if you even get 3 seasons. So if you get 3 seasons, you're hired and contracted to be a part of this show. At the end of this, end of the 3rd season, everyone essentially dies. Chloe gets blown up. Lex gets poisoned. Lana leaves. We have Lionel in prison. Jonathan, he falls out. Now, Clark, I believe, is the only one who would actually return, and that's their main reason for him leaving. But everyone else is put into a position where if the actor was not able to return the next season, they could have an excuse of them dying off. But instead, everyone signed their new contracts and everyone returned for this 3rd season. And I believe they do these contracts every 3 seasons. And so we're at the end of season 6 now, where in the last episode, Martha goes off to be part of the Senate, and she has a moment with Clark where it really feels like that's the last time they'll see each other. Chloe dies in some fashion. Lionel seemingly is knocked unconscious, but he could be dead. And yeah, I wonder if... Oh yeah, Lana. Lana, she blows up in the finale. I don't think she's dead. Because it's exactly like Chloe. Like, she should be dead based upon what we see. But I have a feeling that they're going to pull another Chloe and, oh, surprise, she wasn't in the car. She escaped and the car was empty. That kind of bullcrap. And we'll see in the very next episode that, hey, guess what? She didn't die. She's actually still a part of the show. Also, Lex got arrested. Alright, so now I want to talk about this show season by season. We have with season 4 where the main plot was to get these rocks. And Lana is a big part of this journey, not because Lana is important to this series, but more so we needed something for the actors to do. So they find the rocks. It's something to do with magic. We have Zod stuff going on. Overall, the 4th season was it was pretty fun, actually. I enjoyed almost every episode, not because they were good episodes, but because they were just so much fun to watch. I mean, the episode Spirit is really dumb, where everyone gets possessed by a girl, but the acting is phenomenal. It's just hilariously dumb that I can enjoy the episode. And there's a lot of episodes like that. My gosh. Like, when Lana became a witch. That's really dumb. But I was enjoying the performances and the situations. The villains for that season were very weak. I could not care less. And I feel like that was not the original plan for these villains. I believe that originally this season was going to have a large focus on the Christopher Reeve character. However, this is the season that he died. Because what happens is, we open off the season with Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the original show. And she acts as a assistant to the Christopher Reeve character. And at that point, Christopher Reeve hadn't passed away. And so my thought is, they were going to set up Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, and we will eventually have some kind of plot between the two of them, and we would have seen them together on screen, probably for the first time since the Superman movies, which would have been really nice and sweet. But instead, Christopher Reeve passed away, and the show had to deal with that. And it was around this point where I started thinking about the show as a production standpoint. Because they officially wrote him off as he passed away on the show. He sends Clark the octagonal disc instead of holding it as they were planning to. And then we have Margot Kidder's character, which is probably the most disappointing part of the show because Margot Kidder was still alive. She was setting up something in like 2 episodes. Then Christopher Reeve's character died. And then I feel like they handled her poorly. Unless the situation was Margot Kidder decided not to return to the show. If that was the case, what they did was understandable. So her character disappears and then is found dead, which was disappointing because I was hoping for more of her, but no, she died. And they had to make the new villains Lana's love interest, which I don't know. I was tired of this because it's the exact same thing as season 3, where Lana has his love interest with this other guy who seems nice at first, but by the end of the show, he's a villain. He's bad. He's something else. Same thing with this season. Lana meets a guy who she loves, and he seems like a nice guy. By the end of the season, he's a bad guy and is trying to kill everyone. Oh, well. It wasn't great, but the end of the season 4. Also, I loved season 4 for being Clark's final year in high school. I loved how he wanted to pursue football, and I liked how he was looking at colleges for football and seeing this next step in life. It was nostalgic, and it was interesting to see. Now, moving on to season 5. Season 5 is, for all accounts, I should like this season. But for some reason, I didn't as much. And the big reason why is because at that point, I'm still thinking like through the production process of what they can and can't do. And this season, especially, they start to bring in other DC Comics characters, but they're not the same. Like, we have Aquaman, who is probably the closest one we have so far at that point in season 5. Besides Bart, which is strange why Bart is the chosen Flash character, but I guess for the story that they were trying to tell, Bart made sense. But it's when we got to characters like Cyborg, and he didn't look like a cyborg. All of his cybernetics were under his skin, which was... See, I didn't like that because I didn't feel like they did that because they wanted a character like that. I think they did that to Cyborg because they couldn't afford prosthetics, or they didn't want to make an attempt to make him look like a cyborg, which I thought cheapened the character because a large part of his character was facing that he doesn't look normal anymore. And then we have the season's main villain, which was Brainiac. If I had no idea who Brainiac was, If I had no frame of reference, I would probably enjoy this character more. But because I do know Brainiac, because I've seen so many versions, and for the most part they're all consistent that he's an android robotic with three dots. This one, he's a T-1000 pretty much. Like he's a liquid metal, forms into whatever shape of man he wants. Um, he speaks with emotion. He's thoughtful, and he does everything that the T-1000 can, like make his arm into blades. Except this one he can multiply. And so yeah, I didn't like this version of Brainiac because it just wasn't the Brainiac that I was familiar with. And you know that you say that's a criticism, but it's just that this is a T-1000 copycat and not it just wasn't much of a Brainiac to me. And then, of course, that season has the Lana, Clark. No. Season 5 was also the point where Jonathan had to pass away of a heart attack. And that was a nice emotional moment. It's also when Clark proposed to Lana in the episode 100. Then he reversed time because of all this crap. Honestly, I'm so sick and tired of all this emotional drama. It's you could see it coming a mile away. It's just so frustrating how we spend so much time with the Lana drama. And trust me, these 3 seasons are really where the Lana drama becomes a problem. Because at this point, Lana is overstayed her welcome, and she's so frustrating. Because at the end of season 5, she's now with Lex. And through all of season 6, she's married to Lex, which is not a combination I thought worked well. I didn't realistically believe that Lex and Lana would be together. I can understand from Lex's standpoint, but from Lana, I could not believe that she would do that. Like, Lex constantly tries to manipulate her, and to the point where he says, "You're delusional, Lana. You're you're crazy, Lana." Um, but still, they end up together because I felt like they wanted to do a love triangle. It's not the best. In season 6, Lana is the worst she's ever been, and she's so hypocritical. So we have Brainiac's computer stone, which would destroy the Earth, and Lana says, "Let's send that stone back to the government." Lex doesn't. Instead, he tries to weaponize it. Lana finds out is, "Lex, how dare you try to weaponize this weapon so you could protect us? You either choose me or the rock." And I thought, what the heck, Lana? You told Lex to give it to the government. This is exactly what the government would have done if you gave it to them. So he gives up the rock, or the rock gets destroyed. Then meteor freaks. Lana's like, "There are meteor freaks out there, and they're dangerous. We gotta find them, study them, and build weapons to go against them." And you know what? Lex does exactly that. And Lana finds out, it's like, "How dare you experiment on these people and weaponize them?" It's like, she's so back and forth in this season on, "I want to be with Clark. I love you, Lex." And then she gets pregnant, and then no, the baby's not real. It's honestly having something just for the actors to do. This season best represents that. So, while we're on the subject of characters, let's talk about Lex in these 3 seasons. Lex is amazing, whatever he does, except when he's with Lana, because Lana, as great as Michael Rosenbaum is, Lana can really bring that so way down. Uh, to the point where I wanted to stop watching episodes or skip episodes entirely because I just did not want to watch some of the stuff that they were doing with Lana. And as much as I love Lex, he wasn't enough for me to tolerate Lana as much. But I didn't skip because I'm a completionist and I have to watch this stuff. But yeah, Lex is great. He's always great. Here in these three seasons, this is where he becomes more of the villain that we know him as. He is no longer friends with Clark. It's like the last straw. He's now villains. He's now antagonizing. And he's now fully on becoming the Lex Luthor we know him. Doing secret government projects, kidnapping meteor freaks, creating armies to protect himself and the planet from alien menaces. It's classic Lex Luthor, and it's all on display here. Then we have Lionel Luthor, which is very confusing in these next three seasons because the fourth season, he's normal Lionel, villain. Then he does something with the Rock and switches with Clark, and after that he becomes a good guy for a strange reason. Then he goes back to being bad, but then he becomes good again in season 5 because of Jarrell. And then for the rest of season 5 and 6, he's so confusing. Like, he's on the side of Jarrell, but he's also on and off, good and bad, with mixed background decisions and plots. It's confusing what his character is. It's very interesting to watch, but it's right now it's getting to the point where, as much as I love seeing Lionel, I think that they should really start closing off his character because I don't know. I think we need to focus on just having Lex being the main Luthor, as great as Lionel is. Then we have Chloe, which, my gosh, Chloe in these next 3 seasons is the most surprising greatness of a character you could have. I wasn't the biggest fan of Chloe in the first 3 seasons of the show. I felt like a lot of her character focused too much on her jealousy with Clark and Lana. And now that she has grown past that, she's such a likable character. Especially after she finds out Clark's secret. My gosh, it's amazing. I love how she doesn't tell Clark immediately. She waits for him to tell her. And then when Clark loses his memories and has powers in front of her, she doesn't say anything. She just smiles and continues like nothing's wrong. And I loved that. She became such a great character in these past 3 seasons. It's amazing how you can turn a character who's just, all right, she's nice and she does stuff, to, wow, she's actually a pretty good character. It's shocking, and I'm surprised how much I like her now compared to back when. Martha and Jonathan Kent, they're great as always. I will say I wasn't too sure in the 5th and 6th season where Jonathan runs for mayor, and then Martha becomes senator. I feel like in the CW they've been doing this sort of storyline too much, because in Arrow, Moira Queen runs for mayor, and then later on Oliver Queen becomes mayor. It's like they feel like these characters should be political figures. I don't know why they choose Jonathan and Martha become these characters. Again, I think it's to have something for these characters to do. Later on, Martha, she's now senator. Well, yeah, now she's kind of like a guest character. We see less of her on the show now. I guess this was a way so that the actress could take a break from the show. And that might be the case with her this season because the conversation she had with Clark made it feel like that was probably one of the last times we would see her for a little bit. But we'll see. Uh, yeah, season 6 can be divided into two halves. The first half is like the Justice League, where we see Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. Oh my gosh, I was so excited to see Green Arrow. I love this version of Green Arrow because it's kind of the version that I wanted to see more of with Stephen Amell. Because Stephen Amell, I think, is a perfect choice for Green Arrow. I think he's a good actor who can do a lot of good stunts. And he's funny too. And but in the show, he doesn't really get a chance to show off his funny side. He's always serious like Batman. And I always felt like it was a wasted opportunity to just not use Steven's comedic side to be able to be the classic Green Arrow that we know. This Green Arrow in Smallville is one step closer to the happy-go-lucky. He still has like the dark uh, vigilante look that we have with the Stephen Amell version, but this one, he's a bit more jokish, he's more quippish, he makes fun of things, and I really like that. I do like that we get another side. His costumes, he looks good for the time, of course. It's not bad at all. The effects for him is is pretty neat. But yeah, we form our own little Justice League with these characters. And of course, the only one with an actual costume is the Green Arrow. I mean, sure, Aquaman is a orange shirt and green pants. Cyborg has whatever he wears that's not really cyborgish, but okay. And of course, Bart has a hoodie. Impulse has a hoodie, because of course not. Because of course not. But it was super cool to watch that team up. It was super cool to watch Oliver in the first half of the season. That's what got me excited each episode, was just seeing these characters. And in the second half of the season 6, I just struggled a whole lot because the main focus was Lex Luthor, which, Lex Luthor's fine and I love him. But he's paired with Lana. And like I said earlier, Lana really brings down a Lex scene or storyline, which is a real shame. So yeah, I struggled a lot in the second half of the season. I started just going back to watching one episode a day because of um a lot of things, school, work, and then just not enjoying the episodes. Yeah, I'd been season 4 and 5 and half of season 6 because I was just really enjoying it. There was a lot of excitement and mystery to it that I was excited to see the next episode. Season 5 finale and season 6 premiere also give us Zod, which cool. I did kind of feel that maybe it was too early for Zod. I also felt that it maybe they did a different thing with Zod where he doesn't have a body. Instead, he's a ghost. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, but uh, I think Michael Rosenbaum did a fine job. Although I would have liked to just see a different actor play Zod, just so that we can distinguish the two a little bit better than just one actor's performance. But overall, Zod was neat to see. I will say, the show has done a much better job now at not killing off students in high school and college, even though they still do it. But there's less and less of it in these past 3 seasons, which is great. But they've replaced the killing off of those people with memory. This show does a terrible job at memory because people are constantly losing their memories. They're constantly being under some kind of influence, then they lose their memory. Lionel and Clark switch bodies, and like Lionel figured out Clark's abilities, and like that's super awesome to see. But then they switched the bodies back, and Lionel completely forgot, and it's unexplained. It's never touched on again. I hate that. There's really no reason he should have forgotten his memory, even though Clark remembers everything. You can explain it the best you can, but honestly, it's still bullcrap. It's lazy writing. And trust me, the memory loss in everything is greatly lazy writing. Like Lana, Lois, she puts on lipstick that makes her attracted to Clark, and then Clark gets the red kryptonite, and he shows her all of his abilities. Well, of course, at the end of the episode, the lipstick is gone, and guess what? Lois completely forgot everything in that moment, and I hated it so much because I could see it coming. It's like, oh, okay, lazy writing. They're gonna make her forget. Of course, there's one other instance. Oh yeah, Clark forgot the ability to fly. Yeah, yeah, of course he did. Lex forgets every time he meets Clark and sees his abilities for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it happened once or twice with Lana again, but yeah, this show likes to. What this show likes to do is possess people, then have them find out Clark's secret, and then by the end of the episode, they completely forget about everything. I don't know why they do it, but it's dumb, but they do that, and I hate it because it's a sign of lazy writing. It's a sign of they want to have this cool moment, but they don't want it to affect their show, so they'll just write it off as, oh, they forgot, amnesia, you know how that goes, that's a common thing in normal life, right? No, it's not. And when you do it once, that you can do it once, yeah, that's good, I can accept that. You do it twice, yeah, you're pushing it a little bit, but 3, 4, 5, 6 times, that's when you're really getting lazy and just you got to find better excuses than just, oh, they're under the influence, and that means they can't retain memory from under that influence. That's how it works, right? No, it doesn't. So that replaces my killing off high school students frustration. Season 6 also gives us a new character with Jimmy Olsen. Now, I really want to like this Jimmy Olsen. I think the actor fits a Jimmy Olsen, but the problem is this is Sean Ashmore. Or no, this is Aaron Ashmore. He has a brother who looks exactly like him called Sean Ashmore, who plays Bobby from the X-Men. He also played a villain character in the first couple seasons of Smallville. And so when Aaron shows up as Jimmy, I'm like, haven't I seen you before? You look like that villain that showed up. Are you the same actor? But it's not. And so every time I see him, I want to be like, oh, yeah, that's Jimmy. It's like, but I just get confused because they had the exact same character. It's not his fault that his brother has such a recognizable face and is famous and be able to be part of many franchises. It just happens. But yeah, where we left off in season 6 on the finale here, people are dead, like I mentioned earlier, but we have another villain, a Bizarro type villain. And I'm not sure if I'm excited about it because basically this is just evil Superman, evil Clark Kent. And I don't really want to see that. And honestly, it's a bad portrayal of Bizarro. Because Bizarro is not an evil version of Superman. Bizarro is like this. He's the opposite version of Superman, who is more of a comedic character. He comes from a different dimension where everything you say is opposite. So when you say no, it means yes. When you say yes, it means no. It means good, it means bad. Justice versus the other thing. And so here they just make Bizarro into evil Clark Kent because of course they did. Because, of course, around this time, you had to have an evil character of your own main character. Because, of course, you do. So, that's what they're going to be doing next in season 7. Am I excited about that? Not really. It's just an evil Clark Kent. I don't really care to see that. Now, if it was a proper Bizarro that wasn't the smartest, that was the opposite of Clark, I don't even know how this Bizarro came to be. I got your DNA, and now I was once a ghost, a phantom. Now I'm you, but a bizarre version of you. I don't know. The next 3 seasons are gonna look like. This show is starting to become more of a superhero show. The things that need to happen are Lana. She needs to stay dead if she's actually dead, which she's not. But she needs to stay dead. She needs to leave because she's really, especially in season 6, she's really overstayed her welcome. I don't like her character anymore. Like, yeah, those are my thoughts on these past 3 seasons of Smallville. If I missed something, then hey, I missed it. But overall, I enjoyed most of it. The main parts of it that I don't really care about are just Lana, which I think is most fans' reaction to this. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.